أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, respected elders, fellow Hausa students, comrades, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the happiness and the blessings of Imam al-Hujjatul Qa'im al-Mahdi to increase, please give a loud and boisterous salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Forgive me for being late. I've been far, far away. And I often wondered perhaps that which I wish to convey ought to wait for another day before I tell you what I've seen. You see, it's the future that I have been. Tomorrow's world is what I saw, that time in the future before the world of evermore. I have seen a world with absolutely no war. Everywhere there is peace, evermore. I have seen a world where people help one another, where a believer considers another truly like his brother. I have seen a world where progress is made for the sake of Allah and not for financial gain. I have seen a world without unnecessary suffering or pain. The people of that time have brilliant minds. They smile at passers-by and to one another incredibly kind. They wore clean clothes and worshipped the divine. They spoke a kind of Arabic and Farsi combined. It took me a while to figure out what they were saying, and you'll find they were so advanced in thinking and technology, they left us far behind. And I said salams to a great-granddaughter of mine. She also had a different complexion to mine, like so many of those people's faces, as though her parents were of different races. She told me when a Muslim came to ask her hand in marriage, they simply asked if he was a Muslim and if for the salah his heart yearns. I told her where I come from, the first thing they ask is what nationality they belong to and how much they earn. She gasped in disgust, saying, incomprehensible. In today's world, that's considered despicable. She was studying in the University of Medina, the most prestigious university on the globe. Their uniforms were black chador robes, studying astrophysics and divine biology. She already had a degree in the history of the 2020s, and now she was going to pursue her passion in Islamic arts in Qom City. Not bad for a 15-year-old. Such studies must be really hard. She said, that's nothing. My best friend already has ijtihad. As we sat in the flying train, I noticed that we were flying over grasslands, splendid and green. Where are we? I said, this I have never seen. Syria, she told me. Isn't it pristine? We're going to make a stop to Sayyida Zainab's shrine. But when we entered upon that land divine, I saw no golden dome. My granddaughter told me after the Dhuhr, it was melted down and used to create the new global currency. The Islamic banking system had ended global poverty. All around I saw people sat dressed in rough clothes on the streets. Why are they still begging still? But as we approached, we saw that they were doctors, professionals with a will to serve humanity, paving the way to Sayyida Zainab's shrine, begging to clean our shoes and offer us tea, begging to give back and not to receive. Then the shrine I perceived. A light almost took my vision away. The sun shining bright as day through The dome made of crystal, like angelic glass celestial. My granddaughter told me that the Iranian Space Agency discovered a planet long ago made of solid diamond, which they brought back to Earth and built the shrine so. I wished to visit the tomb of Sayyidah Zainab, but when I approached, the fragrance of paradise had my senses encroached. I saw not her tomb, but the Lady of Light herself awoke. She was smiling, and that smile sent such a shock to my heart of mirth, and she spoke, and I cannot explain how or why she herself was there, because I fainted before I could ask. And when I awoke, I was in the care of what I thought was an angel made of white stainless steel, but the granddaughter told me it's a robot. Oh, for real? I said, seeing the medical bot. You are in good health, although your disposition is slightly hot. Terrified, I grabbed the doctor's thobe. Artificial intelligence could take over the globe. My granddaughter laughed, and she told me a programmer named Mustafa Ka'ban from the Islamic Republic of Japan infused AI with the algorithm of the Quran, and so the robots serve only Allah and submit to the will of the Imam. I asked how much the healthcare would cost, worried because in my pocket I only had 5 tomans. She laughed again. Healthcare is free, she told me, for all and everyone. The hospital had no queues outside. The nurses wore white and blue hijabs. New helpful species were being hatched in biological eggs. I saw a boy born disabled, now standing for the first time on cybernetic legs. Outside, the air was clean and fresh. People were busy walking to work for what was to come next. Then I heard an adhan echoing through loudspeakers throughout the land, beautiful like Bilal's. Suddenly they began to rush. I was worried that I'd be crushed. I said, relax, it's only namaz. My granddaughter frowned at me. Every blessing we have is due to this mi'raj. Ashamed, I entered a masjid sublime. Oh my God, what I would find. Would you believe what I saw? Thousands stood before their Lord. It wasn't like our prayers today. No, no, no. Every one of them was stood in a certain way. Every one of them was trembling with fear or weeping as though Allah was near. I saw men of strength and the elderly. I saw youths younger than me, praying like Khomeini, swooning like Khamenei, crying like every other one of them was Ayatollah Bahjat reborn. I felt ashamed to be among them. I felt like my clothes ought to be torn, and this made me weep profusely. I wanted to thank Allah and Imam Mahdi to whatever end. I wanted that moment to never end. But before I could savor it, the Imam said the salam, and all were shaking hands like the warmest of friends. I was still trembling and dazed when a skyship raised us into the air. I was amazed. I said, wow, no more being stuck in traffic jams? And as we sailed through the sky across the land, my granddaughter told me the people of the past didn't understand. They weren't stuck in a traffic jam. They were themselves the traffic jam. And I saw billboards advertising the Quran and sayings of the best of insan, not for commercial purposes, but to remind everyone of Islam, purely for the sake of Allah. She told me that when the Islamic media revolution took place, everyone abandoned the rat race. Everyone abandoned materialism and vanity, instead striving to better themselves and humanity. The journey was long, so she showed me a new movie made by the system of the Mahdi, and oh my God, I can't describe it. It was 3D, but not with annoying goggles, and I could feel the wind and smell the foods in the movie. You're all looking at me like I'm crazy, but you just have to experience it. And the movie was made in such a way that it made me remember Allah, that I can never forget that day. I asked my granddaughter, what happened to Hollywood? She shrugged her shoulders. It died with Bollywood. People aren't really interested in those boring old movies anyways. I sat back amazed. From way up in the clouds I saw a city shining with white. Its towers were lofty and proud, and there were great buildings floating in the air. And the celestial aura of God was shimmering everywhere. "What is this city?" I asked the pilot. "Don't you know? That's Kufa city." "That's Kufa?" I cried, my heart in my mouth. "It's the capital of the world, from where the Ahlul Bayt rule the affairs." I wanted to go, but my granddaughter said, "It's way too busy there. People come from all over the world." "What for?" I asked. She said, "They're celebrating Dhuhur Day. That's the day Imam Mahdi reappeared long ago and the world changed forever. The Muslims of the past used to wait for the Dhuhur. Now we celebrate it. In Kufa with iftar and suhoor. After the Dhuhur had taken place and Kufa had been made safe, the enemies tried to attack, but the Islamic Republic of Iran had Kufa's back." Tears were in my eyes as I watched the glorious city go by. She gave me a telescopic device with which I could see the children playing happily in the streets. I looked up. "What's that?" Suddenly I saw a fighter jet, and another fighter jet soar overhead, zooming fast, and my heart sunk immediately as I recalled the wars of the past, and I saw them spray Kufa city with a peppered blast. "No!" I cried with all my heart. "We have to do something before they destroy the city." The passengers looked at me and the pilot said, "Order, order," looking at me like I'm an old war veteran with post-traumatic stress disorder. My granddaughter calmly sat me down. I looked again with a frown and saw that the fighter jets were not spraying the city with bombs, but with rose petals, red, white and pink. My granddaughter explained as my heart began to sink that the military planes were used for destruction no more, used now only for good and not for war. She gave me a snack to calm my nerves. I checked the ingredients to see if they were Zio-American hors d'oeuvres. She laughed again at what she saw. "Calm down, Grandpa. There's nothing like that in the world anymore." I said, "Grandpa?" She said, "What's the matter? You can see that the good has come and gone is the bad. Why then are you still worried and sad?" I sighed and said, "Me and my generation were raised in times of hardship and pain. That was what made us strong and sane. But your generation is in a world of peace. How will you be tested to reach your peak?" She said, "Don't worry, Allah has a plan for us all. Just like your people rose for the Mahdi, we too are rising to the call. But while your generation had to fight to survive, to keep Islam alive, Islam now lives and reigns supreme. Our test now is to truly believe." There's much more to say, but perhaps for another day. After witnessing that future, I wanted to stay. But here I am in the present once more, taking the opportunity to warn. Dear brothers and sisters, before we get to that brilliant world, there is a mission that we must undertake, and a war that must be fought. And in the darkest of times, when you might ask, why should we even try anymore? Know that there's a bright future ahead of us, and that's worth fighting for. وصلوا على محمد وآل محمد.